Thanks. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. I just want to start by congratulating Sheila and ICTR on what's been, I think, a fantastic conference. I've heard so much this morning that's been thought-provoking and insightful and inspiring. I'm afraid I'm not going to do any of that. Sheila asked me to come this morning and talk about what we've been doing and the nuts and bolts, so this is going to be very much the boring regulation piece, I think. A lot of you will be familiar with this. I just want to bring everybody up to speed on what's been happening in the last very few short weeks since we were up and running, and on what things we're doing and what things we're not doing. So I hope at least, if not inspiring and all of that other good stuff, that I can be informative. So established on the 16th of October, which I think is 3 weeks ago, formally in legislation, not all of our functions. So we have, the government has commenced the Charities Act with the exception of parts 4 and 7. So part 4 relates to our powers of statutory investigation, which are powers given to us in the event that there is a serious problem in a charity and we can appoint a statutory inspector to go in and investigate and make a report to us. We haven't that power yet, and that power will be introduced when we're at a point when we have established the remainder of our systems, and it would be appropriate to introduce that power. Part 7 of the Act has a lot of different miscellaneous provisions in it. The one most of you might be familiar with is changes to the regulation of fundraising, whereby non-cash collections are going to be brought into the Garda permit system. That hasn't yet been commenced either, and that'll be done. That will probably be commenced in the fairly near future. I don't have a date for it yet, but hopefully in the first half of next year. We have published the Register of Charities. Now, you may have had a look at the register. It's on our website. If you have had a look at it, you will know that it is really just the beginning. What we have done is we've taken the revenue charities and put them into an online register. So I'm very happy that we've done that. It's a critical first step, because the register is the core of the new system of regulation. But what you'll see on there at the moment is really just the bare bones of the information on the 8,500 charities that came to us automatically from revenue. So yeah, the charities that were deemed registered by virtue of having a valid tax exemption from the revenue. So all of those, that's 8,500, are on the register, and I'm going to talk about what those charities need to do now a little bit. But in terms of the other charities that don't have a tax exemption or didn't have a tax exemption at the point when we were established, they will need to come forward and apply to us to be registered. And they have until the 16th of April next year to make that application. Okay, and the process for applications is now open. So any charity that is needing to register, because it's not automatically on our register, can come onto our website and can begin the process of applying to be put on the Register of Charities, and the instructions are there for how they should do that. Okay, so the register, we did publish it on day one. We had some debate about whether or not we would do that, and we decided that it would be beneficial to go ahead and publish what we had, because the primary reason for that was that the part of the Charities Act that made the CHY charities become registered charities within the meaning of the Charities Act, it was commenced on the day we were established. So whether or not the register was published, those charities all became 2009 Act charities, if you like. And because of that, we felt it was important to put those names out there and to be transparent about that, because those charities are now within the remit of the 2009 Act, so we wanted people to know who they are. So it's an online register. It's accessible through our website. Many of you have probably had a look at it. And it has, as I say, about 8,500 charities transferred from the revenue database under Section 40 of the Charities Act. Now, it's very much the bare bones. The data we have on the register at the moment is really the name of the charity, the address of the charity, or one of the addresses of the charity. In some cases, we have the charitable purpose, though not in all, and we will be including a lot more detail on charitable purpose as time goes on. But in some cases, we have this. And we have a new registered charity number, which is a number assigned by ourselves, and every charity that's placed on our register will be assigned one of these numbers. So for those of you who represent charities that are already registered with us. If you want to know what your number is, it will be visible there on the register. We will be writing to all of you, and the number will also be included in that letter that we'll send out. But if you don't want to wait for your letter, you can see it there straight away on the register of charities. Okay, there's also a search function. So it will be possible to search by various different search terms. And I think, again, that's a critically important piece of what we're trying to do here with the register, to supply a searchable register where members of the public can come on and look up a charity, essentially, or find out what charities are active in what areas, in what parts of the country, on different purposes, and so on. So we've put that in from the very beginning, and it's limited in what it can do. I'll show you a little bit now what it can do. Limited for the moment, but we will be developing it over the weeks and months ahead. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Some of you may have seen this already, some not. You access it through our own website, which is Charities Regulatory Authority.ie. Not very snappy, but I think CRA was already gone, so we had to go with the whole name. And you will have a clear button on there that tells you Register of Charities, and you can go in and this is what you can see. So it's not, you don't get the list of 8,500 names. What you get is a database that you can search. So you can see there we have initial search criteria there. You can search by name, by the registered charity number, by the purpose, location, and then some other search terms that people might, just data that people might have on a charity that they can also use to search the register. The governing form, be it a limited company or a trust or whatever, the CHY number, which obviously will still continue in existence, and the CRO number for companies, and other locations that the charity might be operating at. So I'm just going to do a little dummy search here so that you can see what it does. If in this instance I've put in, for name of charity, I've just put in museum, so you don't have to know the whole name of the charity. You can just put in, part of the name, and it will search. It will pull up any charity that has that word in its name. And for principal location, I've put Dublin. And you'll see there that what we get there, we get 8 charities pop up from the initial list of 8,500 that we have, and they'll be displayed there below. And you see on the left-hand side there, we have the new number, the registered charity number, then the name of the charity, the location, and all of this is data that we have received from Revenue. So it's whatever address Revenue had on file at the point they transferred the database to us. And then the purposes, and you see that the purposes are really, very, very bare at the moment, and just advanced education, community benefit, and, we will include more detail on that when we receive it from the charities. But that's what's there at the moment. Now, I want to go further than that. If you want to search into a specific charity, you have to, you can do it via the number column there on the left-hand side. So I'm going to cheat a bit here and give you, I suppose, our I'll call them the early adopter. You see the Irish Jewish Museum is there at the bottom of the screen, and this is, we have begun the process of contacting charities and asking them to update and supplement their information on the register, and this is a charity that has actually gone ahead and done that. They've been very quick off the mark, and they've provided some additional information. So I'm just going to go into that entry to show you what that looks like as of now. Now, that's not ideal for the screen, but hopefully you can get some idea of it there. So what you'll see there, this is the type of entry that ultimately we will have for every charity on the list. You'll see that they have provided additional information on their charitable purpose. So we can see advancement of education, but they have also entered other purposes of benefit to the community, which are the purposes taken from the list in the Charities Act. And in this case, we have religious or racial harmony, harmonious community relations, and advancement of the arts, culture, heritage, or sciences. So we already see how we're starting to increase the information available to the public about charities. They've also entered their charitable objects. And we have there, I know there is no set limit to what these can be. These will be entered by the charity itself, by reference to the governing documents and what the charitable objects are. And here they've provided quite a succinct list of, I think it's five different charitable objects there, which are what underpins the work of the Irish Jewish Museum in Dublin. Now, we also have then, you move down to information about activities and beneficiaries. They haven't filled all of this in yet, and this is one of the important things. When you start to come in and kind of upgrade your entry on the register. It doesn't all have to be done in one go. You know, you can build it up gradually. But they have supplied some information about their beneficiaries, children and the general public. They've supplied some information about their volunteers and their employees, no employees, 49 volunteers. And then the remainder of the information hasn't yet been filled in, so we don't yet have the trustee information and the financial information, and they have entered the location there off the South Circular Road in Dublin 8. So you'll see that this is, I mean, these are a kind of, I think it's fantastic that they've gone ahead and done this. I feel bad kind of holding them up as an example in one way, but you know, this is what we will be asking all CHY charities to do over the coming weeks and months. And you know, you can see that the process has already started here, and this is publicly visible. So anybody searching the register can already see more about this charity in the public domain than would have previously been the case. And I think, you know, that's a really important first step. It is a first step. It's going to take a long time for this register to build into what it can be, and I hope will be. But you know, we have made a start, and I think that's great. Okay, so how do you do it yourself? The CHY charities will be writing to everybody. We started that process, as you can see. We started it in week 1 when we were established, and we'll be sending out a further batch of letters every week to CHY charities at the address that was on the revenue file. So if you are not at the address that was on the revenue file, you need to contact us and let us know, because we have no way of knowing whether those addresses might have changed. And some charities have already contacted us to say, look, our address has changed, and we can give you instruction on what proofs you need to supply to us, so that we can change the address on the register and have the letter sent out to the correct place. Once you get your letter, you then it will contain a PIN number, and you use it to come online, create an account with us, and then you can start the process of updating the information that's there on the register. Or it may all be up to date, but of supplementing it and filling in the categories that are blank. Any charities without a CHY number that existed before the middle of October need to come and apply to us. And again, the instructions are there on our website. They'll be given an account, and then they can apply, and they can use the online account in exactly the same way as CHY charities, but in their case, they will be applying to be placed on the register, as opposed to just supplementing the information that we already have for them. For new charities, so charities are obviously forming all the time. For new charities that are established after the 16th of October, again, they will need to apply to us. And they should do that early on in their existence. I suppose this is the key difference. The legislation provides that charities that were in existence before the register was published but aren't registered have a 6-month window in which to come and apply. But a new charity shouldn't necessarily, it's not covered by that, it shouldn't necessarily wait for 6 months before applying to us. So, you know, we would encourage new charities to engage with us and begin that process early on in their existence. So when you come in, what will you be asked for? I'm not going to spend time on this because I'm conscious that time is ticking on, but just to give you a list there of the things that will be asked for, and all of this is clearly visible on our website. So, you know, in the process of, you know you're going to receive your letter, you can begin, even in advance of that, the process of gathering together the information that you're going to need in order to complete your entry on the register. And all of this, I mean, nothing will come as a surprise in there. All of it is derived from the Charities Act, where, you know, this is the information that is required from a charity in order to register. And therefore, so that we have a level playing field and have the same information available on all charities, we're also requesting this information of CHY charities. So your details, purpose, activities, all the addresses, information about fundraising, the names of the trustees, and some additional information there, financial information, information on risk assessment procedures, and just the final 3 there, we'll be requesting this information, but we'll also be asking charities to send us copies of a number of documents, and that includes the most recent set of accounts. There's no standard set for that, there's no particular format or anything, it's simply your most recent set of accounts, the governing document or constitution of the charity, and then there is a trustees declaration which has to be made as well, for which there's a form available on the website, and that is essentially saying that all of the information in here is correct and we are the trustees of the charity, and we are making this information available to you on behalf of that charity. Okay, so in terms of our own next steps then, as I mentioned, we are contacting each and every one of the 8,500 deemed charities to enable them to complete their entry. We've begun that. We're starting it small. Any of you who have received letters and have attempted to engage with the system will know that we are experiencing some teething problems with the IT. So, you know, we don't want to have thousands of charities using the system until we've ironed out those teething problems. So we have started small. I think we're at a total of, by the end of this week, we will have contacted 200 of the 8,500. But we do intend to ramp that up in terms of you know, how many we're doing each week, and our target date for completing that process will be January of next year. So, you know, if you don't receive a letter in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, don't worry about it. You know, we have a target for completion there, and it's January of next year. The non-deemed charities will need to apply to us before the middle of April, before the 16th of April of next year. And we have asked, we've placed a little notice on our website. We're asking education charities to just wait. We're not actually accepting applications for registration from education charities at the moment, because there are a number of issues with how they will need to register and how the Charities Act applies to them. They're put in a particular category, and we want to issue more guidance, and we're working with the Department of Education to develop that guidance, and we will be accepting those applications when we have that in place. So when we are being contacted by schools or, you know, parents' councils or any of that, we're saying hold off just for now. But other charities who don't have CHY numbers and feel they need to register should start the process at this stage. And for the CHY charities, which I'm sure the vast majority of your charities are, we're encouraging all of you to engage with the register as soon as you receive your letter. There isn't a deadline for this, because your charities are already registered if they have a CHY number. So this isn't about registration. You're on the register. What it's about is being able to have a complete, proper entry on the register. And I think that's in everybody's interest, because the register is already published. In the absence of additional information, it will simply continue to read name, address, and maybe purpose. So, you know, it's in everybody's interests that when you're able to provide us with the additional information to give a full entry on the register, that you do that. Okay, I'm going to talk very, very briefly about the reporting framework, because I know that it's an issue of interest to a lot of people. The section of the Act, Section 52, which requires all registered charities to make annual returns to us, was also commenced on the 16th of October, and it applies to every charity that is registered, which applies obviously to the 8,500 deemed charities. The first reports are due to us 10 months after the end of your financial year. So, you know, we will be issuing annual return dates as part of the process of getting everybody fully onto the register. But, you know, you don't need to wait for us to issue it. You can work it out for yourselves. 10 months after the end of each financial year. We don't yet have regulations that set the reporting and accounting standards. So the section of the Act that requires reports to be made and requires those reports to be accompanied by accounts needs regulations to be made in order for it to function properly, and we haven't yet got those regulations made. So until they're in place, what that means is the format and content of reports and accounts is not prescribed. We're not in a position to have a set standard until we have the regulations made by the Minister. So we hope we will have them by the time people are reporting. The first reports will start to fall due in August of next year. We hope we'll have them, but we're conscious as well that, you know, reports and accounts don't get prepared overnight, and they're relating to periods that, you know, are in the past when guidelines and regulations weren't in place. So for the initial round, we'll be asking charities to report as follows, and that just gives you an idea of what we'll be looking for. We'll have an online information return for which there'll be a template, and you'll just fill it in through your charity account. But we'll also be asking for a copy of your annual report, assuming you have one, a copy of the annual statement of accounts or income and expenditure report, again, assuming you have one, and an auditor's report if you do have audited accounts. But it's all really, it's what you have anyway. It's if you do this, then that is what we need. There isn't a mandatory standard to any of this at this stage. I didn't mean to go that quickly. What we will be doing is we will be consulting in the spring on the regulations that we're going to put in place, or that the Minister is going to put in place. We will have a process on that whereby we will consult, there will be a draft regulation, and then the regulation will be made at some point later next year, and the date for it coming into effect has yet to be set as well. So I suppose the message I want to give is, you know, this is coming, but it's not going to be, you know, coming as a nasty shock to anybody, because we will provide a sufficient lead-in time for charities to be able to prepare their reports and accounts according to whatever standard is set. Until then, we're not in a position to say, don't send us anything because we haven't set our standard. We can't do that because Section 52 of the Act is commenced. So the reporting obligation is there, and it falls on all registered charities. But what we are saying is, look, you know, send us what you have for year one, and then we will gradually move to compliance with the standard that we set in the years to come. So that's really it for now. I just would reiterate and I'll echo what the Minister said at the beginning of the conference, which was, you know, encouraging charities to engage with the regulator, and I absolutely wholeheartedly encourage that as well. Don't all phone us at once because we won't be able to pick up the phone, but you know, you will all hear from us in the form of the letter that enables you to come in and update your entry on the register. So we encourage you to do that, and you know, we encourage you absolutely to remain engaged in whatever consultative processes that we are that we're engaged in with the sector. And the next up one of those is likely to be the reporting framework, which I know is of critical importance to you all. Okay, thanks very much.